Hello everyone, mi nombre es Giselle Moyano, profesora de formación que ayuda a la profesora Carla Vincheira, and today we are going to start with a new content, the list. Remember, we are still with the superlatives, okay? The list is part of the superlatives, don't forget this. Okay, so before we start with the new content, I want you to remember a little bit. Do we use superlatives to compare two elements or to compare three or more elements? Do you remember? Well, we use superlatives to compare three or more elements, okay? Remember that. Okay, now I want you to remember the meaning of less. Do you remember what less means? We saw the meaning of less when we talked about the comparatives. Do you remember that? As in, she is less intelligent than her brother. I want you to tell me, do we use less when we refer to large quantities or small quantities? Here we have the difference. We use more when we refer to large quantities. In this case, for example, here we have more cats. Okay, here we use the word more because we have a lot of cats, as you can see here. But here we only have 2 cats. Okay, so we say here we have less cats. I want you to look at this example. Here we have 2 sentences. Ants are less dangerous than killer bees. Ants are the least dangerous insects in the world. And we have 2 pictures. Here we have a killer bee, and here we have some ants. Okay, so the first sentence says ants are less dangerous than killer bees. This is what you already know, okay? When we saw the comparatives, we we learned the use of less. I don't know if you remember. But in this case, we are comparing only 2 elements, ants and killer bees. And we say that ants are less dangerous than killer bees. So ants are quite innocent, they don't hurt anyone, but killer bees can kill people. Okay, so we can say ants are less dangerous than killer bees. And remember the structure. We have the subject, verb to be, are in this case because it is a plural subject. Less, the adjective dangerous, we added than after the adjective, and we had another noun. We were comparing ants and killer bees, so we wrote here killer bees. Okay, this is the structure of a comparative. Okay, this is the new structure. Okay, this is a superlative structure. Ants are the least dangerous insects in the world. Here we are only focusing on ants, okay? And we say that of all the insects in the world, ants are the least dangerous, okay? In this case, we were comparing only 2 elements, ants and killer bees. But in this case, we are comparing all the insects in the world. And we say ants are the least dangerous insects in the world. Okay, can you see the difference comparing 2 elements, and here we're comparing all the insects in the world. So the structure of the superlative is subject, ants, it's a plural subject, so verb to be is are, ants are. We have the least, remember always adding the least dangerous. Here we have the adjective, in this case dangerous, and here we have another noun. Ants are insects, Okay, that's why I write insects here. So ants are the least dangerous insects in the world. And here is a phrase. Okay, you remember that in superlatives we always had a phrase at the end. For example, in the world, in the team, in my family, of my friends. We always had a phrase at the end of the sentence. So we have different ways of saying the same thing. Okay? For example, here we have two sentences that mean almost the same. We have, this is the most boring book I have ever read. And then we have, this is the least interesting book I have ever read. If you pay attention to this, you realize that this is the most boring book and this is the least interesting book means something quite similar. Or in this case, she is the most distant person in the team. A distant person is someone who is not very friendly, who likes to be away from people. And we have, she is the least friendly person in the team. Okay, so she is the most distant person and she is the least friendly person mean almost the same. Okay, so you can see that we can say things in different ways using most and least. Okay, so thanks for watching. We will do some exercises in class. Bye!